Beginning of the movie, we are introduced to a man who does not fear death, not the jungle, not poison, not even the most terrifying creature alive. His name is Jeff, and from the very first scene, it becomes clear that this man is not a hero. He is something far more dangerous than that. But here's what makes this story truly insane. Jeff is not the only predator in this jungle. The movie opens deep inside a vast, suffocating jungle. A wide, dark river cuts through the trees, and a small boat cuts through that river. On board is Jeff, a man with cold eyes and an even colder purpose. He hasn't come to sightsee. He hasn't come to survive. He has come to capture the most legendary creature ever rumored to exist in these wild, cursed waters. We are introduced to the boat captain early on, and this poor man already looks like he regrets every decision that led him to this moment. He pulls Jeff aside and warns him, gravely, desperately, that the stretch of river they're heading toward is not just dangerous. It is cursed. People who go in do not come back out, and more chillingly, there are stories. Old stories. Stories about a snake so massive, so ancient, it has earned its own name, Crimson. A gigantic anaconda that supposedly rules this entire jungle, killing anything and anyone that dares to step into its territory. Jeff listens, he nods, and then he smiles and tells the captain to keep sailing. That smile should have been a warning sign for everyone on that boat. When they finally arrive at the location, the captain's nerves are completely shattered. He demands extra payment. Fair enough, honestly, given that he's just been asked to park at what might be the most dangerous place on Earth. Jeff doesn't argue. He calmly reaches into his pocket, pulls out cash, and offers it over. But just as the captain reaches out with both hands to grab it, Jeff accidentally drops the money. The captain bends down to pick it up, and Jeff stabs him in the neck, just like that. No hesitation, no remorse. He slits the captain's throat and throws the body into the river as if discarding trash. His two companions standing on the riverbank watch the whole thing in absolute horror. These men thought they were signing up for a dangerous snake-catching job. They had no idea they were working for someone like this. Jeff walks toward them slowly, covered in the captain's blood, and delivers one simple message. Cross me, and this is what happens to you. The three of them press deeper into the jungle. It doesn't take long before things get interesting. They come across a massive stone statue carved in the shape of a snake, and Jeff's expression shifts. The legend of Crimson, it seems, might be very, very real. While Jeff is fixated on finding the big prize, his two companions stumble onto a gold mine of smaller snakes and start excitedly stuffing them into bags. Jeff ignores all of it. He has no interest in anything that isn't the largest serpent in existence. And then one by one, his companions start disappearing. The first one heads back toward the boat, carrying a bag full of captured snakes. When he reaches the riverbank, he notices something in the water. Something that stops him cold. The captain's body, headless now, floating a short distance away. Before he can even process what he's seeing, the body sinks. And then something enormous begins cutting through the water toward him. Fast, terrifyingly fast. He runs. Of course he runs. But this is not a creature you outrun. The giant anaconda catches him in seconds. It coils around him with the kind of force that snaps bones like dry branches. Then it opens its mouth, wide, impossibly wide, and swallows him whole. The second companion is walking deeper into the forest when he freezes at what he sees. The giant anaconda is moving through the trees ahead of him. But what makes his blood run cold is not the snake itself, it's what's inside it. The unmistakable outline of a human body visible through the creature's swollen belly. His companion, already swallowed alive. Before he can run, it gets worse. The anaconda regurgitates the body right in front of him. Just drops it there on the jungle floor, like it's making a point. Then it comes for him too. Now here's where we learn something crucial about Jeff. He is watching all of this. He sees his companion being devoured by the snake. And his reaction? He doesn't panic. He doesn't try to help. He raises his shotgun with a calm, calculating expression, because this was the plan all along. Jeff had been using his own companions as live bait, waiting for the anaconda to be distracted mid-meal so he could move in and strike. Diabolical doesn't even begin to cover it. But before Jeff can fire, every bird and animal in the jungle suddenly explodes into chaos, screaming, fleeing in every direction. Even the giant anaconda abandons its meal and vanishes into the forest. Something out there frightened it. Something worse than a man-eating anaconda is moving through these trees. The movie now cuts to a very different world. We are introduced to a struggling circus show, the kind that's barely keeping its lights on, with sparse crowds and hollow performances. Into this picture walks a young man named Billy Yang. Billy opens a suitcase full of cash and makes an offer to buy the entire circus crew, promising to relocate everyone to Thailand for a fresh start. The workers are stunned. Because here's the thing, just a few years ago, Billy Yang was one of them. Broke, struggling, working the same circuits they were. Nobody knows how he went from that to carrying around a suitcase full of money. But money talks and everyone agrees to board his boat. What none of them know, what none of them can possibly suspect, is that Billy made a quiet phone call before they departed. Hidden in the bathroom, speaking in a low voice to someone on the other end, he confirmed that the delivery was ready and that he'd be arriving soon with the people on board. The delivery, the people on board. Read that again. The journey takes a turn when the river path ahead is completely blocked. Enormous wooden containers and barriers stretched across the water. The boat captain suggests a longer alternate route. Billy Yang refuses. He's furious, insisting they need to arrive in Thailand on time or lose the advance payment for a show there. When the captain suggests using explosives to clear the path, Billy agrees without a second thought. They detonate the explosives, the barriers clear. And then hundreds, maybe thousands, of snakes pour from the destroyed containers directly onto the boat. The wooden crates were filled with them. The deck becomes a writhing nightmare as crew members scatter in every direction, screaming, being bitten, trying desperately to escape. One woman, Lenny, keeps her head. She grabs a high-pressure water pipe and blasts the snakes off her section of the boat. Sharp thinking. We immediately understand she's someone worth paying attention to. Billy Yang, on the other hand, locks himself in the bathroom in terror. When the ceiling collapses and snakes rain down on him, he does the only thing he can think of. He jumps into the river and swims for the shore, which is how he ends up face-to-face with a king cobra on the riverbank, and that is how Jeff re-enters the story. Before the cobra strikes, a foot comes down and crushes its head. Jeff stands there, calm as ever, as if stepping on deadly cobras is just another Tuesday. He introduces himself to Billy as a stranded explorer who got caught in a jungle accident, and since he just saved Billy's life, he's allowed on the boat. What follows next is one of those scenes that quietly tells you everything about a person. One of the circus workers, a man named Zhao, suddenly collapses in agony, clutching his ear. Jeff examines him, makes a small cut on his own finger, and holds it near the man's ear. A thin, poisonous snake slowly crawls out from inside Zhao's ear canal and bites Jeff's finger. Jeff doesn't even flinch. He pulls the snake out, looks at it for a moment, then tosses it into the river like it's nothing. The stunned silence that follows is broken by Lenny, who watches all of this with narrowed eyes. She knows enough about snakes and venom to understand what this means. The only way a human being can survive a direct snake bite with zero reaction is through years of deliberate venom exposure, slowly building up resistance by poisoning yourself over and over again until your body simply stops caring. That is not normal behavior. That is obsession. Lenny tells Billy flatly something is wrong with this man. Don't trust him. Billy doesn't listen. Jeff's next move confirms everything Lenny suspected. He finds the boat captain alone and makes him a private offer, money and a lot of it, in exchange for being taken to a specific location marked on a map Jeff is carrying. The captain takes one look at the location's name, pulls out a gun, and points it directly at Jeff. That place, the captain says with shaking hands, is where the Crimson Anaconda lives. Jeff quietly walks away. And that night, while the captain sits alone fishing off the side of the boat, Jeff murders him too, throwing the body into the river as bait to draw the giant snakes out. He has now killed 2 captains. He is dismantling this group from the inside. When people begin noticing the captain is missing and ask Jeff about it, he shrugs and says people disappear in dangerous jungles all the time. Lenny stares at him. She knows. Then the jungle erupts again, birds screaming, animals stampeding, the river churning. Jeff's face breaks into a grin. It's here. A massive form rises from the river, and what emerges is something that turns the entire boat into chaos. The anaconda is not just large, it is incomprehensibly, nightmarishly huge. Jeff grabs a rope connected to a trap and tries to hold the creature. But this is like trying to leash a freight train with your bare hands. The anaconda drags Jeff straight into the water and thrashes him around like he weighs nothing. Jeff manages to tie the rope to a nearby small boat and attack the snake with a weapon, but barely scratches it. The anaconda wraps around the small boat and pulls it under. Everyone on the main boat believes Jeff is dead. He swims back, of course he does, but now the anaconda is no longer in the water. It has silently climbed onto the roof of the main boat. And before anyone can process that, it drops the dead captain's body onto the deck in front of the entire group. The screaming that follows is understandable. What comes next is a long, terrifying sequence as the anaconda hunts through the boat, squeezing through corridors, smashing through walls, searching for prey. Jeff fights it. Lenny thinks fast. Zhao saves a child by dropping a metal pot over the snake's head, buying a few precious seconds. The snake eventually shatters the pot, and the resulting chaos spills kerosene across the boat. Fire catches. Explosives go off, the boat is destroyed, everyone leaps into the river. And they find themselves stranded, deep in the jungle, no boat, no captain, no way out. With the boat gone, Jeff pulls out his map and calmly tells the group he knows a shortcut to Thailand. He promises to get them there within a couple of days. The moment Billy hears this, he forgets all about his ruined boat and signs on immediately. Lenny refuses to go. She does not trust Jeff for a single second. But then one of the circus girls collapses. A spider bite. Venom spreading fast, potentially fatal. And Jeff naturally says he has the medicine to save her. It's back on his boat. Lenny has no choice. The jungle walk that follows is brutal. Jeff stops one of the men from drinking river water, explaining that invisible parasites live in it. Ones that create an unbearable, irresistible thirst, driving victims to drown themselves trying to drink more and more. Nobody believes him fully. Not yet. They should have. That night, one of the circus brothers wakes up to find his sibling standing waist-deep in the river, trying to drown himself, nose streaming with tiny, writhing parasites. He had drunk the water. There is nothing anyone can do. By morning, the group is smaller and more traumatized than before. When they finally reach the river crossing they must use to continue, the giant Anaconda strikes again, taking another member of the group underwater before anyone can react. They arrive at Jeff's hidden boat. He hands over the medicine. The girl is saved. Jeff then turns to the group and announces that Thailand is close, but first they need to help him. And here's where the mask comes fully off. Jeff reveals that he brought them here specifically to use as bait for the Crimson Anaconda. He's been engineering every step of this journey, the boat, the river, the deaths, all of it planned. When the young boy refuses and speaks for the group, Jeff pulls out a gun. And Billy Yang pulls out a knife and steps to Jeff's side. The shock of that moment lands like a punch. Billy, the man they followed here, the man who promised them Thailand and a new life, he chose Jeff's side. The side with the gun. Because when Jeff mentioned how much the Crimson Anaconda is worth, Billy did the math and the math won. But then Billy does something even worse. With everyone trapped and terrified, he confesses. There was never going to be a circus in Thailand. Billy Yang got rich through human trafficking, selling people, selling their organs, building a fortune on other people's suffering. That's where the money in the suitcase came from. The only reason they're still alive right now is because Billy thinks the Crimson Anaconda is worth even more. Two of the crew are tied up and placed on the riverbank as live bait. Jeff waits at a distance holding the net rope, ready to spring the trap the moment the great snake arrives. One of the captive girls tries to steal Jeff's gun while distracting him. She gets close, closer than anyone has come to outmaneuvering him, but can't figure out the safety mechanism in time. Jeff snatches it back and raises it to shoot her. Lenny attacks from behind with a shard of broken glass, stabbing Jeff in the stomach. A fight erupts. A gunshot rings out, nobody is sure who's hit. And then from a distance, Billy watches in gleeful anticipation as the net is set, and the anacondas begin moving toward the bait. He has the rope, he has the plan, he is about to make a fortune. He does not notice the second anaconda dropping from the canopy directly above him. It takes Billy into the jungle. Gone, just like that. The rope falls from his hands, and the net, instead of capturing the anaconda, falls on the two people tied up as bait, accidentally protecting them. Jeff regains consciousness and goes after them again. Another anaconda appears and drags Jeff away into the darkness. One of the surviving crew members is shot by a stray bullet during the chaos. She dies before they can get help. They board Jeff's boat with 3 survivors remaining, pushing hard for the river exit, and then Jiao gets hit with a tranquilizer dart to the back. He crumples unconscious, Jeff still alive. He had killed the anaconda that grabbed him by severing its head, and now he's back, and angrier than ever. He retakes control, ties everyone up again, pours blood, sets his trap one final time. The crimson appears. This snake is not just large, it is a force of nature. The jungle's apex predator. The thing that everything else in this wilderness fears. It turns its attention to the bait. Jeff releases the net. The crimson is partially trapped, but only partially. It is furious and it is strong, and it tears through the ropes with its fangs like wet paper. Jeff tries to hold the line. The creature wraps around him slowly, inexorably, and squeezes. Jeff has killed 2 captains. He has murdered his own companions. He has used innocent people as live bait. He has survived venom, drowning, and anaconda attacks, but he cannot survive this. The crimson swallows him whole. The 3 remaining survivors, terrified, bleeding, exhausted, cut themselves free and run for the river. The Crimson comes after them. They hide, it finds them, they run again. There is nowhere in this jungle that is safe from it. It corners them, it opens its mouth. This is the end. And then a sharp metal wire, part of the trap Jeff had rigged earlier, slices clean through the creature's head. Jeff, in death, killed the Crimson. The 3 survivors stand in the silence that follows. The Crimson lies still. The jungle, for the first time, feels like it exhales. They stare at the enormous body for a long time. Then they walk out of the forest. And that is the story of Crimson, a movie that asks a fascinating and deeply uncomfortable question. In a jungle full of monsters, which ones are actually the animals? Jeff hunted the Crimson for money and obsession and became every bit as predatory as the thing he was chasing. Billy Yang smiled at circus workers and promised them a future while secretly planning to sell them. And the Crimson? The Crimson was just a creature defending its home. The snake didn't leave its jungle and bring destruction to anyone. The humans did. Now, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, first of all, respect. Because this story was wild from beginning to end, I need you to do 2 things right now. Drop a comment below and tell me who is the real villain of this movie, Jeff, Billy, or the Crimson. Because honestly, the debate is more complicated than it looks. And if you haven't subscribed yet, come on. You just watched this entire breakdown. You clearly have taste. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss another video like this one. Because if you don't, you might just end up like Billy Yang, missing out on something worth far more than y'all realize, right until the very end. Don't be Billy. Subscribe.